All that to say, it smells like Teen Spirit, and the 80s bands came to a screeching halt. The 90s brought in the grunge era, and the 80s were dead. A lot of these bands fell to the wayside, and it's unfortunate. I thought there was enough room for everybody, and I wish it would have been that way, but it wasn't the case. Um, I mentioned Poison did a great album in the 90s with Native Tongue. My next selection is another band that some people will probably scratch their head. Some of the fan base will go, "You're out of your mind. How dare you?" It's a very divisive album, and I'm going to pick Motley Crue's 1994 self-titled album. This is, I'll give you a little bit of a backstory. In '89, Motley Crue was probably the biggest, I hate saying it, hair metal band, or whatever you want to call them, glam metal. Dr. Feelgood was their first number one album, sold between 6 to 7 million copies. You had Kickstart My Heart, Dr. Feelgood, Without You were top of the charts. These guys did a major tour. Then in '91, they released Decade of Decadence, where they had a new song called Primal Scream, which I really thought was a phenomenal song. It's underrated in the Crue catalog, and it showed a step forward in the band's progress of being musicians. And I was looking forward to the follow-up. Of course, everybody knows by now Vince Neil was either fired or he left. They didn't get along. Egos, collided. They bring in 1992 John Corabi, who was best known for that time for the band called The Scream. He is now the lead singer of the Dead Daisies, which is one of my favorite bands. So he comes in, he plays rhythm guitar, he can write songs, and he has a very gritty, raspy, bluesy voice. He brings a whole new element. These guys are all on the same page. They want to make a darker album. They want to go with the times. They realize grunge is taking over. They can't do the sex, drugs, party girls, albums that they used to do. They have to move with the times. This is that album. The guitar playing, Mick Mars on it. If you like Mick Mars, you got to listen to some of the guitar playing on here. Out, beautiful. Some of the best he's ever done. Tommy Lee's drumming is humongous. If you know Creatures of the Night album, the drumming that I said would, at one point in one of my reviews, said will make your ears bleed. This is another one of those albums. The drumming on here is just thunderous, and you've got to hear it once in your life. Corabi's voice takes center stage and commands your attention. This is a darker album, meatier playing, stronger production, I think, than anything they've done. I love it. Bob Rock behind the boards did an outstanding job. Made these guys sound like a full-fledged one band, a unit together, creating a colossal album. I love almost every track on here. Power to the Music is a rally cry to every rock and roll fan. Whatever, if you like grunge, you like 80s rock, you like whatever, this is the rally cry to just power of the music. Will reel you in and hook you in. Uncle Jack is a very dark track. Hooligan's Holiday, although it's over 5 minutes long, it has a great chorus. It's an earworm and sticks in your head. Misunderstood, I'm going to call it a semi-ballad. Classic. This is a classic song, beautifully done. The introduction, the acoustic introduction, phenomenal. Poison Apples, Hammered would probably bring the old school Motley Crue fans into the fold. I like Drift Away. This is the remastered version, so you get a couple of bonus tracks. You get Hypnotized, which was not bad. I didn't like Baby Kills, but I like Living in the Now. This is a stellar album. I think Corabi brought a different vibe. He had that bluesy, grittier vocals that I think really brought out this material. This is an album that I think we wanted Vince Neil to make with them. I don't know what happened, just never materialized, but this is the next best thing. They had an uphill battle, of course. Grunge was in the way, and these guys. So you had Motley Crue fans going, Vince is not in, we're not on board. And you had the grunge going, this is an 80s band. This is like, who wants to listen, like girls, 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 and, sex, drugs. We're into this stuff. So you had Crue fans kind of moving away, and you had the grunge fans that didn't come on board. So this album, I think, was doomed to fail. Also, as much as I love Hooligan's Holiday, at, you know, almost 6 minutes long, it's not your traditional single. I think they had to find I think if they would have done a cover again, like Smoking in the Boys Room, something that's easily accessible to the masses and bring Karabi aboard and showcase his vocals as a blues guy, I think that would have turned things around. I think they needed a shorter and put Hooligan's Holiday next and then Misunderstood. I think that I think they needed a different single. But although I love Hooligan's Holiday, it's one of my favorite songs from them ever. Like I said, the playing is outstanding on here. The drums are thunderous. Mick Mars' guitars on here is meaty and powerful. Karabi's vocals are phenomenal, and Nikki Sixx's writing is top notch. They've got that dark grunge gloomy sound, but yet they realize the power of a hook and a chorus, and they've incorporated that. And I think this makes it one of the better grunge album esque sounding records of that period from a hair band. So do yourself a favor, give this a listen. If you like the Dead Daisies, Karabi's their vocalist. If you like them, this is where he kind of got pushed into the limelight in a bit. You can't go wrong with this album. I think this is them being a full-fledged unit together, unified, creating a colossally powerful, meaty, ear-bleeding album. So do yourself a favor, give this a listen. I'll post a couple of tracks down below. You let me know what you think. Did you not like him? A lot of fans don't like this because it's not Vince Neil, and I understand. And maybe they should have called it something else. But, Van Halen changed singers. Iron Maiden changed singers. Kiss had multiple members, and they made it. Why can't this? I think it's a cult classic right now. I think there's a cult following, and it deserves a lot more love. I've reviewed this before, but I'll review it again. I think this is one of the strongest Crew albums in the discography, and it deserves your attention. And that's all I gotta say. This is Steven from the Aroundtable with one of my favorite grunge-esque sounding albums from a hair metal band. And it's Motley Crue's 1994 self-titled album. And I'll be seeing you soon, guys.